Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Julia Wittner. I am the coordinator of this gallery, and I was really excited to bring this exhibition, the exhibition of 12 Ukrainian women artists to the gallery. So this talk is part of the gallery programs and specifically is related to this exhibition of 12 Ukrainian women artists. These artists are still in Ukraine. Several of them are left Ukraine recently, and all the work that you see here reflects this current conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So make sure to spend some time with the artwork and looking around after this event ends. And I'm very excited to introduce our speaker during this afternoon, Aniko Szabo. Aniko Szabo went to Eastern and graduated with a degree in psychology in 2005. This is, it's a very exciting fact that she knows our school and she will talk to us about her current work and about her decision-making process that brought her from Eastern to where she is now, and she's now working in New Haven, and she helps refugees and asylum seekers to find their new homes. Before we start, I wanted to ask and introduce our new dean, Emily Todd, new dean of Arts and Sciences, who is present here, and
what a great
wow! Excited to welcome.
Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you.
Is in the arts and sciences, so I'm so excited to come and hear you speak, and what a wonderful opportunity for all of you to hear from an alum and learn about her journey and to connect it to this fabulous experience. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's first welcome Aniko.
Thank you.
So, my name is Aniko Szabo. As it was already said before, I graduated from Eastern in 2005 with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and it's right now I'm working at Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services, IRIS. We're a refugee resettlement agency in New Haven. And it's been, a long journey. I made some different decisions on my path. I started off as, I think, like you, I did come to Eastern because it had a good reputation for producing teachers. It had a good education program, and I wanted to be a teacher. But I took a psychology class my first year, and I was fascinated. And I decided to change my major to psychology. So hence the bachelor's degree in psychology. So after Eastern, I went on to get a job. My first goal was to get a job, and I got a job right away as a mental health counselor at Manchester Memorial Hospital. And I worked there for 5 years, and I had really great mentors. They were great therapists that I worked around, and I thought that's what I wanted to do, but I decided actually that I wanted to get my master's degree in marriage and family therapy, so I went to Central, and then I switched my major again and went into international studies. So I have a master's degree in international studies, and I feel like I am right where I need to be. So my advice to you is to take your time in making decisions. I felt kind of rushed to, make a decision, finish school, get it done, and go to work. But it's okay to take your time and not have to go to school and finish right away. It's good to take your time and to really think about what you want to do. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to switch. I did, and I turned out okay. So, and like I said, I'm right where I know I want to be and need to be. Like I said, I'm working at IRIS, Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services. I am the Employment Services Manager there. So our job is to help our clients, refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers, find work. Imagine being dropped into the middle of Syria. You don't know the language, you don't know Arabic, you don't know anyone there, you don't really have a home yet. What do you do? So that's kind of the feeling our clients have when they first come to the US, and we are their first point of contact. So we have wraparound services, and we give them everything that they need when they first come to the United States. First, housing. We find them a place to live, an apartment. IRIS, we pay the rent for the first 3 months, and the clients are supposed to find jobs. It's a quick thing. They don't have services for that long, and they need to find a job as quickly as possible so that they can pay their own bills. So housing, we have an education team that helps students or like little kids register for school, helps high schoolers go to school. We have an education team that also helps graduating high school students apply for colleges and things like that, making those decisions. We have a legal team that helps with legal representation. And we have our employment team. Like I said, I'm on the employment team, and we help our clients find jobs and kind of give them some counseling. And let's see what else. We have our food pantry that we have once a week. Clients can come and take food. We have in-school tutoring. We have an after-school program that helps students. We have a summer learning program during the summer to kind of help students catch up, because remember, they're going to school, but they're also learning a new language. They're learning English. So they, need a little bit more time to catch up. So that's kind of what we do at IRIS. And I love my job. I'm happy. I love going to work every day and doing what I do. I've been at IRIS for 7 years now, and I'm just really happy. I know that not many people can say that they love what they do, but I can. And part of the reason for that is because I feel a sense of fulfillment in doing something that I feel I didn't get the chance to do when I was young. I am actually the daughter of refugees. My mother is sitting right there. And my parents came from Hungary in 1983, and they escaped communism. They escaped communist Hungary. They fled. You can't go back because they'll put you in prison because you left your country. They escaped. They found a refugee camp in Italy. And they were there for 9 months, and that's where me and my twin sister were born, in a refugee camp in Italy. And we were 4 months old when we came to the United States. So that's a little bit about my story, and why I am so happy doing what I'm doing now. It was not an easy journey. I saw my parents struggle. I know me and my sister struggled. My first language is Hungarian. I'm still fluent in Hungarian. And I didn't know a word of English when I first started kindergarten. And my sister actually even had to stay back a year. So it was a struggle learning to read and write and make friends. But here I am. I am the first generation in my family to have gone to college. And so I feel like my parents made a good decision. I don't know if I would have had those opportunities if I had grown up somewhere else. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing. And I'd like to tell you a little bit more about what we do and what it kind of like, what it's like to be a refugee and the journey that refugees take. So the first thing I want to share is, well, first of all, we are a refugee resettlement agency. We are one of 3 in Connecticut. There are 3 refugee resettlement agencies, soon to be only 2. We were resettled by Catholic Charities in Hartford when we first came, and but they're closing down, and they're transferring their clients to us at Iris. And we also have opened a new office. We're in New Haven, but we've also opened a new office in Hartford. So the Catholic Charities in Hartford is transferring their clients to us. So anyway, one of 2 refugee resettlement agencies in Connecticut and one of about 300 refugee resettlement agencies in the nation. So we resettle refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers, asylees, SIVs. These are special immigrant visa holders, individuals who worked in Afghanistan or Iraq with the U.S. Army. They worked as translators, soldiers, things like that, and they put their lives at risk to help the United States. So now they get to go through like a special immigrant visa program. And so we serve many of those clients as well. And sometimes we even serve U.S. citizens. So let me first, I just want to tell you a little, like what a refugee is. I know that you guys probably know, but I think that the definition is very important to kind of go over before we get into it. By definition, a refugee is a person who has been forced to leave their country, in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster. So let me give you some examples. Syria, Afghanistan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ukraine. These are all war-torn countries right now. And these are people who can seek asylum because they're trying to get away from their country because there is a war. Persecution, some examples of that. Iran, someone leaves Iran, the country of Iran, because they are practicing Christians in a Muslim nation. I also want to read another cool fact. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex persons are subject to imprisonment in more than 73 countries and subject to death in 5 countries. So you can't just be who you are in all countries, and that is another reason that people leave. And finally, natural disasters. 2017, Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. And many people were displaced, and many people actually came to Connecticut. And we helped them with everything. We helped them find housing, jobs, helped their kids apply for school, all of that. So, and Puerto Ricans are actually U.S. citizens. So in that case, we served U.S. citizens as well. I wanted to also tell you a little bit about how refugees leave their countries and what the process is like. It's not easy. It takes years to be able to come to this country, and many times people are living in a third country outside of where they came from, outside of where they fled from, where they don't have any rights. So the process is, you first apply to become a refugee, and And you have to prove why you deserve to come to the U.S., why you deserve to be a refugee. Your background is checked by every government agency you can imagine, CIA, FBI, all of it. You're interviewed over and over again. Every family member is interviewed separately, and then their stories are corroborated with, talks with their neighbors, their relatives, their friends. They talk to everybody to make sure that all the pieces of someone's story fits and makes sense and is the truth. So, in and of itself, that is not easy because imagine, your house has just been bombed. You've lost your job. Maybe you've seen some family members pass away. And now you're talking to strangers over and over again, telling your story of trauma, reliving this trauma over and over again. There is a lot of paperwork to be done. There's biometrics that need to be done, fingerprinting, and vaccinations that need to be administered. So it's a very long process and can take like 2 to 3 years to actually become a refugee. Once you are granted refugee status, you can come to the U.S. and you're able to work the second you step off the plane. Everyone is authorized to work. They have a work authorization card, and they have all the rights that everybody else has, except to vote, really. And yeah, so it's a tough journey being a refugee, and takes a long time. And in the meantime, lots of people are stuck in, like I said, a third country. Maybe Syrians go to Jordan. A lot of our clients are from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they have gone to refugee camps in Tanzania and have been there for 20 years before they even decided to apply to be a refugee. Lots of people, again, like I said, they're forced to leave. They don't want to leave their homes. And a lot of them hope that, okay, maybe I'll move to another country now. I'll wait it out, see how things go. Maybe things will get better soon. I can go home. And lots of people end up waiting in these refugee camps for many, many years. Like I said, we have clients from the Democratic Republic of Congo who have been there for 20 years, who have had kids there. Children grow up in refugee camps. They know nothing else. And they come to the U.S., they don't know how to use a toilet or how to operate a stove. So we help them with everything from the very start, and we meet them where they're at and the level that they're at. Education is also a tough thing. A lot of individuals have not been to school. In Afghanistan, women are actually not allowed to go to school because of the Taliban. And, in the past 20 years while the U.S. was there, they had made advancements, but now that's kind of all over as well. So, we're trying to help individuals who sometimes are uneducated, who don't even know how to read and write in their own language, let alone learning a new language. So lots of challenges. And then imagine trying to find a job for someone who has no English. Maybe they have skills. We have lots of very educated people coming in who were engineers or teachers or doctors or dentists in their country, but they don't speak English and they can't practice here. So there's also a lot of leveling down. People have to realize that they have to start from zero again, because language is a really big thing. So I want to make sure that I mention everything that I wanted to mention. I also just wanted to say about New Haven. New Haven is a sanctuary city. I feel like New Haven is a really great city to work. The community is very, very supportive of our clients. We have a lot of companies who want to hire our clients, actually. We have a good relationship with the school system. We have in-school tutors. The school system, the public school system, has actually hired tutors, individuals from Afghanistan, Syria, wherever, who speak fluent English, but also obviously speak their language and can be tutors to the children in school. We've set up all kinds of these support systems within the city of New Haven, and we're trying to do that in Hartford. We are an organization of, when I started, we were about 30 staff members. Now we're about 80, so we're really growing. And we also rely a lot on interns and volunteers. There are a lot of opportunities at IRIS. We have people coming in to be a tutor, to help a student learn English. Maybe they want to teach a new family how to use the bus in New Haven. Maybe they come to the food pantry once a week and help bag food, so when families come, they can hand out the food to them. We have all kinds of opportunities, even on the employment team. We have interns every year, volunteers that come and they help write resumes for our clients. They help fill out applications for our clients. They can even take clients to job interviews because they need that extra support. So there are many different volunteer opportunities at IRIS. And if you guys are interested in learning more and hearing more, you can take one of these. This kind of just lists our services at IRIS and has our contact information on there. You can go online, you can fill out a volunteer application or intern. Everything's listed on there, all the different opportunities. And you can also take my business card if you know of anyone who might benefit from our services. Maybe you know a Ukrainian who is here in the US who just came and is seeking asylum. And also, if you want to be on our newsletter, I have also a notepad here. You can write down your name and your email address. If you're interested, you can get our newsletter. However you want to go about it. So if you want to get more involved, you can. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. It really does take a village. It's a whole operation with all our, volunteers, our interns, staff members. It really just does take a lot of people to take care of our this new community, and they've been through so much and suffered tremendously, and they deserve to be welcomed in the U.S. And again, like I said, the definition of refugee is it's someone who is not choosing. I mean, they are choosing in a way to apply to be a refugee and to come to the U.S., but they're not choosing their situation or the war that is in their country. And the situation in their home country is unbearable, and that's why they're coming here. And it's hard. It's tricky to start a new life. But that's why we're there to help, and if you guys are interested, let me know. And now I'm just going to leave it open to questions, I guess. Does anybody have any questions? Or, anything that you'd like me to expand on?
Oh, yes. I have lots of questions, but if other people have them, I'd like to.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, I have a question. I missed the first part of the talk. And I wanted to know where you guys located in New Haven.
We're in New Haven on Nicole Street.
I signed up to be volunteer a long time ago, and I've been hearing back and forth from some of the people that probably work with you.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything really concrete yet.
Okay.
So I'm still available, and I'm willing to spend some time with them if they have me. They can drive them or go
Yes.
where they want to go.
Yep. Doctor's appointments, anything. Yeah.
We're located in Putnam and Romantic, as far as I know, the refugees, they've been placed in these two
Yes.
major areas. So what I was thinking about the, how to talk to you, and, I can get them a job too.
Yeah.
I have a mother that she doesn't speak the language. I was born in Iran.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And she's here at the nursing home close by.
Okay.
So it would be lovely if I could pay them to go and just talk to her, if they know Farsi. I'm not quite sure that they speak Pashto or Farsi.
Yep.
Or what are the reasons that I haven't been contacted, specifically maybe that's the reason. Because I don't speak Pashto. My first language is Farsi.
Farsi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We should talk a little bit more after, and I'll give you my card. But that is actually something else. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something else that we do at IRIS. We have a co-sponsorship program, and we have, the point of resettling refugees is to help them integrate into the community. We don't want them to be dependent on us forever. We want to help them get integrated into the community, become members of the community. And the best way to do that is to have co-sponsorship groups. We have many co-sponsorship groups, different church groups or civic groups that come together, and they say, hey, we're a group of volunteers. We can do what you do, but in Willimantic or, Stamford or wherever. So we have clients that are IRIS clients, but are being resettled in a different city all around Connecticut. So, and there are volunteers, there are groups of volunteers who are doing the same things we are. In that volunteer group, there's one or two people who are looking for jobs for those individuals. There's one or two people who are helping the kids register for school. There's someone else helping them with, coordinate their health care, all of that. So there are opportunities everywhere. So I'm glad that you said that. It doesn't have to be in New Haven. You might be far from New Haven or Hartford. But yeah, there are lots of different co-sponsorship groups. If you guys are interested in getting involved in some way, I could also send a list of different co-sponsorship groups. I don't know them off the top of my head, but we're all around Connecticut. So, yeah.
Where is you said there were two, there was another agency, and where is that located?
So there is another resettlement agency called SERI, which is, I always forget what they stand for, but they're located in Bridgeport. And that's another refugee resettlement agency. And then there was also Catholic Charities in Hartford. But after the Trump administration, he kind of cut down the refugee program quite a bit, and lots of agencies suffered. Catholic Charities is one of them, unfortunately. But yeah, those are the other agencies in Connecticut.
Quiet Corner Refugees is the one that's local here.
Yes, Quiet Corner Refugees, yeah.
And they are actually coming here to speak about their work on October 13th at 9:30 a.m. Quiet Corner Refugee Resettlement Group. So if you guys are interested, I will send this information to you. They are really kind of very local, and you don't need to drive to Hartford or to New Haven. You want to start helping right now here.
I'm so glad you said something.
My other question has to do with your funding. And
Yes.
Where does that come from? And I have another question after that.
Okay, that's fine. So the question was, where do we get our funding? I would say about 50% of our funding is from the government. We are paid by the government to resettle these folks coming from different countries. They are filtered through the government in through 7 different bigger resettlement agencies. And under those there's 7 of them. Under those 7 agencies, they have partner agencies, maybe 30, 40 people, and we belong to one of those agencies. Our agency is CWS, Church World Service. So, yeah, 50% of our funding is directly from the United States government. The other 50% is donors. We have a lot of private donors who give every single year, and that number has only gone up ever since the crisis from Afghanistan, now Ukraine. Lots of people hear about this stuff in the news and they want to help, so a lot of our funding has come in that way. We have a lot of donors. We have, community members in Connecticut, different restaurants like donate a certain amount every year. We also have a big event every single year on Super Bowl Sunday in February, very cold, but it's a run. It's called the Run for Refugees, and that raises a lot of money as well. So yeah, that's where the other half comes from.
Can you just speak a little bit about when somebody comes here? Do they generally, because I know the Afghan family that was here was often some, I don't know where they were, in Texas or California or something like that for several months.
Yeah.
They came actually to the land.
Yes.
Is that, can you just speak to that?
Yeah. So we had a bunch of, so usually clients come directly to Connecticut or whatever resettlement agency they're designated to. Maybe they're going to be resettled in Texas. And sometimes it's random. Sometimes they should have a tie. Maybe they have a U.S. tie, a relative of some family member or friend that they know, and then they'll be redirected to that state. So usually people come directly to the resettlement agency that they're going to be resettled in. However, with the Afghan crisis last summer, a lot of Afghans it was a very untraditional way of doing things, but they were literally just evacuated. They just got on a plane and were evacuated and just kind of dropped in the U.S. They came through different like army bases, basically. A lot of them came through, they came through either Virginia, like Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C., Virginia, or New Jersey. And then they were filtered out through, after they came into the airport, they weren't allowed to just like wander off and just do whatever they wanted. They were all sent to different, one of, I think, maybe 9 different U.S. bases that set themselves up and had tents there, food. It's a base. It's an army base. So, they're already set up to accept, to house lots of people. And that's where people were staying for several months because they don't, a lot of these clients or a lot of these individuals didn't have documents. They didn't have passports. They didn't have anything. They just got on a plane, literally, to escape war. So that's why they went to these bases. They don't usually, but in order to process their paperwork, to get the vaccines they needed, everything was done on that base. And that took months. We had a few clients that actually went back to Afghanistan, very bad timing, and got stuck there because the Taliban took over while they were still over there. But they're U.S. citizens. They're living here now. They're clients of ours. And we were trying to help them get out and their family members get out. But they had to go to a base as well first to just make sure, everyone had to be interviewed, background check, everything to make sure that we're not just having random people come into the United States. So. Oh, I'm sorry.
Would you say that after COVID, did that affect the amount of refugees that were allowed to come into the country? Or has it raised the amount of refugees or less than that?
That's an interesting question. I would say that, our resettlement process did slow down quite a bit during COVID. Lots of places, lots of countries closed their borders and didn't really allow flights out or in. So that did affect us a little bit. I would say, yeah, it did. I wouldn't say it affected us as much as when Trump was our president. The refugee resettlement program really broke down then. But yeah, COVID affected it as well, a little bit.
I have two questions.
Yeah, sure.
One is, I wonder if you, when you reflect back on your time at Eastern, if there are courses that you feel like you realize, that, what you remember, if there were particular classes or experiences you had that were formative. And then, since you have mostly students in this room, my second part question is, what advice do you give to them about ways to use time?
Yeah, sure. So your professor actually was telling me before we started this afternoon that you guys are in a class, and it's pretty much like an introduction to teaching, to becoming teachers, and you're learning about what it takes to be a teacher and whether or not you're made of the stuff it takes to be a teacher. And I think that's a really, really amazing idea to have a class like that. I wish I had a class like that. Like I said, when I first got started, I came here because I wanted to be a teacher, and then I changed my mind after taking, a couple of psychology classes because I was fascinated. So I could have used a class like that to kind of explore a little bit more about what I was good at, what I wanted to do. So I think this is a good thing. But again, try different things. Don't be afraid to try different things. And then the other question.
When you think about specific courses, do you cast your mind back to experiences you had in the classroom or
Yeah.
outside the classroom that you find yourself drawing on?
Yeah. Well, I would say the thing I think about most when I think back to Eastern is the track team. I ran track and field for 4 years. I was like mid-distance sprinter. And that's where I made my friends, really. And, but yeah, the psychology courses that I took were really, like I said, fascinating. I love the study of human behavior. I took a few classes on human behavior and why, people make the decisions that they do and how they're affected by the people around them. I was fascinated one time by something that our professor was telling us. He drew like 3 lines on the wall or on the whiteboard, and I think, I forget how it went, but I think there was he had talked to the entire class except for 2 or 3 people, and he had a plan, and he told everybody, no matter what, this middle line, it was a long line, kind of like a mid, a little shorter line, and then the shortest line over here. And he asked the entire class to say that the middle line was the one that was the longest line. He was going to ask the class, which line is the longest? Everyone say the middle one. And there were 3 people who were not informed about this little test. And even those 3 people said that the middle line was the longest, even though it's obvious that the first line was the longest. So that really fascinated me. Why do humans behave that way, and how we're affected by other people's, decisions or, that, you know, so that's really what I remember finding fascinating. And also, I did have a professor who was a therapist, had kind of like a practice of his own on the side, and he was a professor as well, psychology professor, and I really learned a lot from him. And he was awesome in that he helped me understand things that I thought I understood before, but once I learned from him, I realized I didn't really understand before. And he talked in a way that made me realize, oh, okay, this is what that's really about. So I had experiences like that. Those are the things that come to mind. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, I have. Can you tell us how many refugees you resettle every year, and if there are 80 people working at IRIS right now, so are these 80 helping X amount of refugees per year? So like, what's the helpline?
Yeah. So when I first started at IRIS in 2016, I started during the Syrian crisis. Actually, the Syrian crisis started way before, but when the U.S. became informed or wanted to help, I started in 2016 because there were a lot of people coming, so they were hiring a lot of help. And at that point, I think that year we resettled 300 people. 300 individuals, not families, 300 individuals, and that was a lot in 2016. And now it's 2022, and we have already resettled in the past 4 months over 500 individuals, and they're all from Afghanistan. So, you know, that really wasn't our choice. I mean, we all had to kind of like do our part, but all these people got on a plane and came to the U.S., and they were all, you know, put into different areas. And yeah, so during the last, you know, so they usually trickle in slowly, and we have a certain, I mean, every year the president puts a cap on how many refugees he wants to come to the United States. And from there, you know, that total number is split among the 7 agencies I was telling you about before. And then from those 7 agencies, that's where they get filtered down to our little resettlement agencies. Yeah.
And in terms of the different states in America, would you say that you are the most effective, or there are larger refugees centers which resettle more people?
Yeah. I probably don't know as much as I should about that, but there are not resettlement agencies in every state. I think probably Texas and California have bigger resettlement agencies, but I don't know for sure. I know that in Connecticut or in this area, we have really gained a reputation like IRIS has, and we get most of the clients in Connecticut. Even the other resettlement agency in Bridgeport doesn't get as many clients as we do. And then once clients are resettled, a lot of them actually come to IRIS to get services from us. That's about as much as I can say about that. Yeah. But like I said, there's about 300 resettlement agencies in all of the U.S.